Good morning. It's good to see everyone this morning, and welcome to Alumni Weekend. I'm Ellis Arnold, class of 1979, and at this time I'd like to invite Reverend J.J. Whitney, class of 1996, our chaplain, to bring an invocation.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we are honored to be counted among your people. We are grateful to be called by you and glad for our particular traditions of faith in the world. You have marked us and named us, and we celebrate that we are people who represent diverse communities and passions and gifts. You engage us in our differences and give us courage for varied vocations and energy to do that work. We celebrate today those persons who have chosen to follow a special calling, and we lift up these exemplars. Joan Davis Wagnon, Rose Thompson Gassler, Helen Sheffield Plotkin, and Rosie Valdez Block. These women have been given gifts of mentoring, public service, communication, and teaching, and they have used those gifts to make a difference in the lives of the communities around them. We are grateful that they represent who we are as Hendrix College. So encouraged by their service to others, fill us so with your love and grace that we may face each day with a desire to reach out to our neighbors. Send your blessing on this gathering that we might honor and celebrate our Hendrix community. We give thanks for those who've prepared and now serve our meal. May we truly recognize your presence as we break bread with each other. Amen.
Thank you, JJ. Just continue to eat and enjoy your fellowship, and we'll begin in just a couple minutes. Thank you. It's great to see everybody here today. We actually kicked off Alumni Weekend yesterday in this very room with the induction of the class of 1968 into the Half Century Club. It was great to welcome back the members of that class, and some of them are here today as well. And we also had all the other members of the Half Century Club who were able to make it. So this room was full yesterday with folks who graduated from 1968 all the way back to, I think, 1939, if you can believe that. So it was a great celebration and a lot of great memories, and we had a wonderful time. But this is a day that we particularly look forward to at the college each year, when we recognize our classmates and others who have distinguished themselves through their professions and through their service. We take great pride in their accomplishments, and we're honored to count them as members of the Hendrix family. Now, before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to express our appreciation to Chef Mike, to Mike Flory, to Chef Scott Pickens, to Mindy Nichols, and the entire dining services staff for our brunch today. This event and all the other wonderful activities of Alumni Weekend are really made possible through the hard work of Pamela Owen and the entire staff of the Alumni Office, and we're grateful for Pamela and all the folks in her office who, if you see them around, please express your appreciation to them as well. I'd also like to recognize some of the fact our senior leadership team members are here today, and they'll be across campus, and they work with President Tsutsui day in and day out to try to advance our college and our alma mater, and so we appreciate the work that they give too. Most importantly, though, I think I'd like for us to take a moment to recognize any current or Meriti faculty who are here. And so they're the reason that we come back. In addition to our classmates, it's the memories and support of the faculty, both past and present, and some of those who've passed on that have had a great influence on our lives. And in fact, you may have received notice about Hendrix Giving Day on Thursday, and our theme was Hendrix Inspires. It's been a chance for alumni all over the country to either make a gift to the college in honor or memory of a faculty member, or to just post their names as we can recognize them in the ways they've touched our lives. So if we have any current or former faculty members or current former staff, if you could stand, we'd like to recognize you as well. Yeah, thank you. And I know that we have some past distinguished alumna members here or other awards that we've received. If you've received an Alumni Association award in the past, or past recipient, and I think they may be in your program as well, if you could stand, we'd like to recognize you for your service. Thank you. Well, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our president, Bill Tsutsui, the 11th president of Hendrix College. He holds his bachelor's degree from Harvard, his master's degrees from both Oxford and Princeton, and his PhD from from Princeton. He previously served as Dean of the Dedman College of Humanities and Sciences at SMU, and prior to joining Southern Methodist University, he spent 17 years at the University of Kansas. Bill, welcome.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is a pleasure for us to have you all with us today as we honor 4 individuals for their achievements and their service to the Hendricks community and the world. It's always fun to recognize exceptional individuals who've done so much and given so much of themselves and meant so much to so many. This is only my 4th of these ceremonies, but it really stands out to me as one of those annual events on campus which is genuinely special and genuinely joyful. And I'm glad you all could be part of it this year. Now, there will be many words of praise for our honorees in due course, but my assignment today is to just give you a brief update on the college, as one of the main goals of Alumni Weekend is to make sure no one leaves this campus without heaping servings of both nostalgia and propaganda. As president, of course, my job is to be salesman-in-chief for Hendricks, and happily, this is an easy job and has been ever since I arrived, since there is so much good going on this campus and so much we can and should collectively celebrate. Now, I know you all get all the Hendricks mailings and read all our social media posts, and you all can probably recite all of our brag points about great rankings, successful students, and big headlines on campus. But many of you, I suspect, don't get back to Conway all that often. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk with you about what hasn't changed since your days at Hendricks, but what has changed a great deal in recent years, and even in some cases in recent months. First of all, let me assure you, Hendricks still has an absolutely phenomenal faculty. Not the factory's not so good, but the faculty is absolutely phenomenal. Even as some of the real institutions on this campus have retired, and I saw Tom Goodwin going through the line, so he's still here for a free meal. Even as some of these institutions have retired, we still have so much to celebrate amongst the teachers and mentors on this campus. We have had many things to brag about. Let me just put a spotlight on the successes we've had in winning competitive national grants this year. We won a huge NSF grant, $650,000, for a project called STEM, which will award full scholarships to students from the most deprived backgrounds, students who are Pell eligible, especially from the Delta of Arkansas, to come to Hendricks to study in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We've applied for this grant numerous times in the past, and it has been the tenacity of our faculty and the desire of this campus to build up our programming so we are competitive for it that we did this year win $650,000. And congratulations to Laura McDonald and Matt Moran in biology for doing that. I'm also thrilled we received an NSF grant for $550,000 for Courtney Hatch in the chemistry department for her research in environmental studies and specifically in atmospheric chemistry. So this is directly related to issues of climate change, though I don't think you can say those words in Washington, D.C. right now. The happy news is that Courtney and our students here at Hendricks will be doing absolutely essential research in our labs. Let me assure you, Hendricks also continues to have absolutely marvelous students, among the very brightest in the nation and some of the most engaged, curious, and good young people I have ever met. There's so many stories I don't know what to tell, but there's one right at the top of my mind. 2 nights ago, I went out bowling with 4 of our students. Every year, Campus Kitty has an auction on campus, and folks donate something that they can auction off. The past couple years, I've donated a bowling evening. I was my 6th grade bowling champion and always seek to relive those glories. And I found it's a really neat way to connect with some of our students. Last year, I had 4 students all headed into medical professions. This year, I have 4 students headed in completely different directions. One who has his heart set on going into the Air Force and becoming an astronaut. One who is indeed headed to med school, one who's going to Washington and wants to make a difference in policy, and another who's thinking maybe his calling might be to be back on a college campus being an admissions officer working with young people. It was a huge amount of fun and just absolutely inspiring to me. This is my first graduating class at Hendrix. I entered with these young people, so I met these folks in my first days on this campus, and it was just a thrill to see how far they had come in what to me seemed like the blink of an eye. That's the true joy of my job, and is a privilege to be able to do that every day here at Hendrix. Third and finally, Hendrix is still what I call a social escalator for the state of Arkansas. You know, I talk about this a lot, that the heritage of this school has been to take bright young people, no matter what their background, no matter what part of the state or the nation they come from, and give them an absolutely transformative world-class education here at Hendrix College. Now, I know if you've looked recently at Hendrix's sticker price, you will see it is eye-popping. It is a lot of money. But we have been absolutely focused the past 4 years on accessibility and affordability, and in making sure that heritage we have of educating talented, promising young people and launching them into careers and lives of meaning and distinction will not change. If you haven't heard of the Hendrix Arkansas Advantage, you should. It's a program for all high school graduates in the state of Arkansas. If you meet certain academic requirements, and the academic requirements are actually slightly below our averages for the class, if you meet those requirements and are admitted, we will cover your full demonstrated financial need to attend Hendrix. And through the Hendrix Aspire Scholarships, which is a series of partnerships we have formed with schools and organizations in Little Rock, but also in the Delta, especially with KIPP Delta Public Schools in Helena, West Helena, and Blytheville, we are offering full-ride scholarships to those students with the most need, students who are Pell eligible from our partner schools and organizations. We give a full ride, we give mentoring and support so they can be successful in the world. So for all these ways Hendrix has stayed the same, Hendrix has also been changing. Let me talk about a few ways. For many folks in this room, football was not part of your Hendrix experience, except to the extent you might have made the occasional trip up to Fayetteville. Well, football has been back on campus for 5 years, and I would say it has been a great success. It is really a testament to our coaching staff, to the players we have been able to recruit, who've been absolutely wonderful young men, and to our community, which has embraced it and celebrated it. Last year, we graduated our first class of football players in the rebooted program. For me, again, it was a joy to see how far they had come. We brought them back in one of the football games last fall to sit up in the President's Suite at the stadium, and I just thought to myself, I can't believe those lunkheads have come this far. They actually have paying jobs. They're in graduate programs. Isn't that great? I just want to talk about 2 of our alums who've gone on to do some pretty amazing things. First of them is our star running back named Dayton Wynn. He was from the little town of Pea Ridge, Arkansas. He was Hendrix's first ever All-American in football. He, in fact, was first-team All-American 2 years in a row. When his time at Hendrix came to an end, Dayton Wynn decided to turn pro. So he joined the Danish American Football Federation, where he played for the Copenhagen Towers. He was the MVP of the team, and he led his team on to victory in the Mermaid Bowl, which, if you didn't know, is the Super Bowl of Denmark. Seth Peters was our star quarterback. He's from Greenbrier, just down the road. He was one of our first headlines in the football program because he turned down scholarship offers to play football at Vanderbilt and at Yale to come to Hendrix. He was always interested in science, maybe the medical field, and he knew he could get a first-class education just down the road and play the game he loved at the D3 level, which meant he could be a student as well. Seth was amazing. He set all kinds of records for the school, the conference, and nationally. And when the season came to an end, lo and behold, he decided to turn pro as well, joining the American Football Association of Finland. I would tell you the name of the team he played for, but I cannot pronounce the name of the city it is located in. He led his team to the championship of Finnish football, which is the Spaghetti Bowl, and was named the MVP of that game. So the one takeaway you should have for today is Hendrix rules Scandinavian football. We've also made huge steps in this campus on diversity. Over the past 4 years, this campus has really challenged itself to look more like Arkansas and the United States, to be more inclusive, to be more intentional about reflecting the world in which we live and preparing our students for that complicated, diverse reality. I could rhyme off all the things we have done, the most important of which is to have our first Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Dion Jackson, who many of you know. She was the first Chief Diversity Officer in all of the associated colleges of the South schools to report directly to the president, which means every decision that takes place on this campus, she is a part of. And that's something I am very happy about. We appointed a standing committee for diversity and inclusion on our board of trustees. I tell this story a lot. About 3 weeks after we made our announcement, Princeton announced it was naming a diversity committee to its board. It got front page in the New York Times and Wall Street Journal for doing that. The log cabin Democrat didn't even pick up our committee, but that doesn't matter. What's important is that we have it and it's making a difference. We now have an institutional statement on diversity and inclusion, which encapsulates our campus's values and its objectives. And I'm very pleased that this has had some real impact on campus. Our recruitment of students of color has increased 20% in the freshman class each of the past 2 years. And this year, though we mourn the retirement of that icon, Alice Hines, we've started making targeted faculty hires to increase diversity on the faculty here at Hendrix. So there's good progress. There's a lot of work to do, but it's something that this community has been focused on. We've also had an increased emphasis on career preparation. Back in the day, for many of you, there might not even have been a career center or career counselors on this campus. Today, Hendrix has a very strong program led by our alum, Lee Lassiter Counts. And this year, we launched a first-in-the-nation initiative, something called Career Term. So for 2.5 days before the start of the spring semester, we are going to bring back all sophomores to campus and give them 2 days of intensive training in career-related skills and planning. Very, very basic things that everyone should have. How do I put my CV together? How should I think about my major and the way that thinks into my career plans? What are some interview skills I can have? Personal branding, networking, okay? Our goal is to hit folks at an early point in their careers because too many people don't think about what they're going to do until about this time in senior year, okay? And we want to get them early, and we want to make sure they make good use of the classes they take here and what they do during their summers. Alumni are a huge part of this because our great resource in helping our students be prepared for that world is so many of you. So this year we had a great group of alums from across the nation come back and talk with, work with, and mentor the students. Next year, as the program expands, we'll need even more. And then 2 years from now, we will have every sophomore. That's when we'll hit full build out of it. And we will need everybody in this room and more to be back the few days before Martin Luther King weekend to be telling your stories, sharing your expertise, and inspiring the young people on this campus. And I hope I can count on you, because that personal connection makes all the difference. Finally, and this might not be something that I even need to say, since just about everyone I've talked to today has mentioned it to me. If you want to see change on campus, you have to do no more than walk out the front doors of this building. You will see Rainey Building is no more, and Hewlin Hall is no more. In the days when Hewlin Hall started to come down, I was assured I had ruined the lives of every alum of this institution, that building had been the first meal they'd had away from home, the site of their first date, their first kiss, you name it, something meaningful had happened there. And I am sorry about that. But I'm even more excited about what will rise in its place. If you haven't been over to the Dawkins Welcome Center, please visit, and you can see the wonderful new facilities we're creating on this campus. The Miller Creative Quad is going to be something absolutely phenomenal. Again, unique on an American college campus, combining student living space with first-rate facilities for the art, for music, for film, and a brand new art museum for this campus. I encourage you all to come back in about 2 years and see how lively and vigorous the center of this campus is going to be. Now, I could go on because there's so many good stories to tell and so much happening here, but I just want to end with one thought. As I have found over the past 4 years, Arkansas is a wonderful place. It's beautiful, it's friendly, they're the most genuine people you'll ever find in the world in this state. But it is number 49 out of the 50 states in the proportion of the population earning college degrees. And West Virginia is catching up fast. It's a place where race relations can still be tense and where it's difficult to start the conversations that need to be heard. It's a place where making ends meet is still a struggle for too many hardworking folks. And sometimes you don't feel the kind of opportunity and dynamism which you do in many parts of America and the world. But for all its challenges, what Arkansas still has plenty of is bright young people. Young men and women with lots of smarts and energy and promise who need to be encouraged to ask tough questions and supported in taking risks and pushing themselves, and inspired to dream big and think rigorously and do good for the world. Arkansas has so many great young folks who can thrive at a demanding liberal arts college with a warm, nurturing community that celebrates creativity and individual difference. There is no other college or university like Hendrix in Arkansas, and there are darned few in the South. Arkansas needs Hendrix, and the nation needs Hendrix, now more so than ever. Thank you to all of the alums in this room, and especially to our award recipients, for making us proud every single day. The reputation of this college is grounded in very large part on the continued distinction of our graduates, their professional accomplishments, their personal qualities, their leadership in communities and churches and countless other organizations, and their collective clout as the Hendrix Mafia, which is a fearsome and wonderful thing here in Central Arkansas. I cannot possibly run through all the great things I hear about Hendrix alums, but after talking for far too long already, I can sit down and let us attend to our real business here this morning, turning the spotlight on 4 remarkable people who represent all that is best about the college, its impact and its importance to Arkansas, the nation, and the world. So congratulations to our award recipients today, and thank you all for being with us on this happy occasion. I'm not sitting down, am I? I'm standing.
I love that I get to follow that. Good morning. My name is Jamie Campbell, and I am the chair of the Hendrix College Alumni Board, and I want to add a big welcome today to everyone who's here. The Alumni Board of Governors has been very special to me over the last few years, and I want to say I get to do basically three things, well, four things. I get to be a major volunteer for the college, and that's fun, and that's well and good. But this year, as chair of the board, I got to speak to the freshman class as they came in. I will get to speak to the senior banquet in a couple of weeks here in this room. Those are phenomenal, but they're moments that I think the audience probably tunes my role out, and that's okay. But today I get to celebrate those who are around me in the Alumni Association and not cry about it. So this is a phenomenal place, and I'm proud to represent it. And I get to start with a friend. So on behalf of the Alumni Association Board of Governors, again, welcome today. The Alumni Association has presented the James E. Major Service Award since 1981. It was established to honor Dr. James Major, class of 1940, and is given for meritorious service to the college. The James E. Major Service Award is presented by the Hendrix College Alumni Association to individuals who distinguished themselves in service to the college and its students over a long period of time. Past recipients include current and former members of the Hendrix staff, as well as persons whose volunteer service has significantly enhanced the experience of Hendrix students. The Hendrix College Alumni Association is pleased to recognize Helen Plotkin as the 2018 recipient of the James E. Major Service Award. Mrs. Plotkin, will you please come forward?
Okay.
Helen, it is my great pleasure to share the following citation recognizing achievements and dedication that have earned you this honor. Whereas Helen Sheffield Plotkin, an award-winning journalist, came to Hendrix in 1995 as the Director of College Relations and spent the next 22 years telling the Hendrix story. And whereas Helen Sheffield Plotkin served under 3 Hendrix presidents, most recently as Vice President for Marketing Communications, and whereas Helen Sheffield Plotkin helped to organize and publicize numerous college milestones, including the opening of the Charles D. Morgan Center for Physical Sciences, the Donald W. Reynolds Center for Life Sciences, 6 student residence houses, the Bertie Wilson Murphy House, the Wellness and Athletics Center, the Student Life and Technology Center, and Youngwise Memorial Stadium and Plaza, and also led the planning for the 125th anniversary of the college's founding. Additionally, oversaw the publication of 3 strategic plans, support material for 2 capital campaigns, and 5 major redesigns of the Hendrix College website, semicolon. And whereas Helen Sheffield Plotkin has remained connected with the Hendrix community while experiencing the joys of retirement, therefore, the Hendrix College Alumni Association Board of Governors is proud to bestow the 2018 James E. Major Service Award upon Helen Sheffield Plotkin and to hold her up to the Hendrix community and to the world as an exemplar of meritorious service to Hendrix College. Presented Conway, Arkansas, April 21st, 2018.
Thank you. Well, that was a lovely citation that I didn't have to write. I enjoyed it. So, thank you. I'm honored to be recognized by the Alumni Association with the James E. Major Service Award. It is a distinct honor to have my name tied to Dr. Majors and to the previous honorees who have received this award. For more than 20 years, I had the pleasure of being the staff representative to the Alumni Board of Governors and to serve on the Communications Committee. And I benefited greatly from the insight and support of the alumni who served on that committee. So thank you to the committee members for helping me and Hendrix keep alumni connected to the college. I also had the great pleasure of editing Hendrix Magazine and of reading all those wonderful alum note submissions that y'all sent to me, which continuously reminded me of the difference that Hendrix alumni make in their community and in the world. So thank you, Hendrix alumni, for giving me what every PR person wants and dreams of, a great story to tell. And to tell a story about the people who make Hendrix matter. I'd also like to thank my family for their love and support during my career, and for in the almost year since I retired from Hendrix, for not telling me to just go back to work and leave them alone already. And I'd like to introduce the ones that are here today. Y'all wave. My husband, Richard, my sister-in-law, Wendy, and my niece, Amy, who might look familiar to some of you since she graduated from Hendrix in 1998. So to sum up, thank you.
The Alumni Association of the Board of Governors created the Hendrix Humanitarian Award to recognize and honor living alumni who significantly improve the quality of life in the world through their service and dedication to humanity. The Hendrix College Alumni Association is pleased to recognize Rose Thompson Gassler, class of 2012, as the 2018 recipient of the Hendrix Humanitarian Award. Ms. Gassler, will you please come forward? Rose, it's my great pleasure to share the following citation honoring achievements and dedication that have earned you this honor. Whereas Rose Thompson Gassler serves as program coordinator for the UA India, which uses team sport and education to build character, confidence, and courage among girls who are at risk of child marriage and human trafficking, preparing them to achieve goals, create brighter futures, and then break the cycle of poverty permanently. And whereas Rose Thompson Gassler serves as education director for the UA School, which she co-founded in 2015, which gives girls ages 6 to 18 the tools they need to become empowered citizens, discover their own identity, and prepare for admission to universities in India and abroad. And whereas Rose Thompson Gassler has been a loyal Hendrix graduate and a faithful supporter of her alma mater. And whereas Rose Thompson Gassler embodies what it means to significantly improve the quality of life in the world through her service and dedication to humanity. Therefore, the Hendrix College Alumni Association Board of Governors is proud to bestow the 2018 Hendrix Humanitarian Award upon Rose Thompson Gassler, Hendrix College alumna from the class of 2012, and to hold her up to the Hendrix community and to the world as one who has significantly improved the quality of life in the world through service and dedication to humanity. Presented in Conway, Arkansas on April 21st, 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jamie. With my few minutes here, I think the most interesting thing I could do is tell you a story about one of the girls that I have the privilege of working with. So as you've heard, I've been living in rural India for the past 6 years, and the place where I live is called Jharkhand. It's in eastern India, and it's a very difficult place to be a girl. 6 out of 10 girls in this area drop out of school and become child brides. It's known for its human trafficking, for its poverty, and as I said, it's one of the hardest places to be born as a girl. The girl I'm going to tell you about today is named Nita, and I met Nita in 2012, and at that point, she had been playing soccer with the organization UA for the past 3 years. When Nita joined her first soccer team, she was a very shy, timid 9-year-old. She had trouble making eye contact, she didn't speak up much, but after several months of playing soccer with a bunch of other girls, she became joyfully aggressive, and I've also had the experience of being knocked down by her when she's got a huge smile on her face, and despite the fact that I'm twice her size, she gets very animated and aggressive while she's playing, and she really gained a lot of physical courage and confidence by being a part of this team. Nita is one of 6 children. Her parents kept having children until they had a boy. They have 5 girls and 1 boy. And the reason for that is because in this area of rural India, families don't value girls. They see them a bit as a liability. They see boys as the ones who will stay back and support the family when they get older, and the girls will be married off and leave the family and no longer support them. So Nita is one of 6. Her family run a tavern out of their home. It's a very challenging place to grow up, as you can imagine. There's always drunk people hanging around her house, and for Nita, the soccer team was an outlet. At that time, she was sporadically attending a government school. She would go a few times a week, but she really had no interest in it because the classrooms were very overcrowded and the teachers sometimes wouldn't show up. In 2012, we started offering extra classes after school, and Nita, for the first time, found that she really enjoyed learning. She showed great curiosity, and she was willing to get up at 4:30 in the morning to come to a 5 a.m. English class. When we decided to start a school in 2015, Nita was adamant to join. At that point, Nita's 3 older sisters had already been married off as teenagers at ages 15 and 16. She had seen this happen. She had watched her older sisters drop out of school and be forced into these early marriages that they had no desire to enter in. Her older sisters ended up being married to alcoholic husbands who didn't have the capability to support a family, and from that moment, their future, they had no real future. Nita wanted to avoid this fate, and she was adamant that she was going to join the UA school. Because after experiencing what education could be in our classes, she saw that school could be something completely different from what she had experienced at the government schools. Her parents forbid her from joining, but she said for the first time she stood up to them, and she said, "I'm going to join this school." They would not pay for the school fees, so Nita decided to start coaching football in UA so she could earn her own money at age 13 and start paying for her own school fees. And she's been doing that since we started 3 years ago. A little update about Nita today. She has captained 2 UA teams that have competed in soccer tournaments abroad. She was selected by her peers to captain those teams. In the past year, she has read all 7 Harry Potter books, which is really a feat because when I met her, she couldn't speak any English. Last year, she was one of 8 girls selected to participate in an all-female wilderness expedition in Alaska, in which she was kayaking around Bear Glacier. And she has really taken to creative writing. I recently read a short story that she wrote about a love affair between a girl and a glacier, an iceberg, excuse me. And it was a bit of a tragic romance because, of course, the iceberg was melting. In June, she's going to start in 11th grade, and she dreams of studying journalism. She's interested in studying abroad, and she wants to study journalism because she loves writing. She's found the ability to express herself through writing, And she wants to share stories of the girls that she knows and the girls that she doesn't know all across India who face extreme social injustice. And she sees this as a way that she could potentially impact the way things are in her country. Every one of the girls in our program, and there are 86 in our school, and about 300 who play soccer who are not in the school. Every one of the girls in this program has an incredible story. I've just chosen one, but it would have been easy to tell the story of any of them. Every one of them has incredible potential, and it's been a great joy and privilege for me to be a part of this project and help each one of these young people develop a sense of self, and realize their true potential. And I see an easy connection between my time at Hendricks and my development of UA School. Just like UA School, Hendricks has taken the time to educate, challenge, and nurture young people to develop conscious, active citizens. And it's just been an absolute privilege. So I'd like to thank all of you. Again, thanks, Jamie, and thank you, Ian King, for nominating me for this award. And then one last special thank you to my parents, who in 6 years of me living in rural India have not once made me feel guilty about living in India. So thank you so much for your support, Mom and Dad.
I got a sneak peek at the citations and the bios, and when I tell you, it's hard not to cry. It's amazing what our community does. And I'm actually really envious of the recipients because I've got a script that I try not to mess up, and they get to speak so passionately and so immediately on what this place has meant to them. So, thank you. Whew. All right, next one. In 2007, the Alumni Association Board of Governors created an award to recognize the accomplishments and promise of the college's young alumni. The Outstanding Young Alumnus or Alumna Award is presented to an alumnus or alumna of the college who has shown accomplishment and promise in his or her chosen profession or in service to the broader community, and has demonstrated continuing loyalty, support, and advocacy for the college. The recipient should be within 15 years of his or her college graduation. Today we recognize Rosie Valdez Block, a member of the class of 2010, as the 2018 recipient of the award. Rosie, will you come forward? All right. Rosie, it's my great pleasure to share the following citation, recognizing achievements and dedications that have earned you this honor. Whereas Rosalia Valdez Block, class of 2010, is the Director of Debate and a Communication Department Chairperson at Little Rock Central High School, the Vice President of the Arkansas Communication and Theater Arts Association, a Diamond Coach with the National Speech and Debate Association, and the Chairperson of the National Speech and Debate Association Arkansas District. And whereas Rosalia Valdez Block has taught and coached competitive debate since 2011, coached 28 state titles, has had students qualify for the National Speech and Debate Tournament every year since 2012, coached the national finalists at the Tournament of Champions, and the top speaker in the country in 2016, and coached the first Arkansans in history to reach multi-bid status to the National Tournament of Champions in the tournament's 46-year history. And whereas Rosalia Valdez Block has received the City Education Trust Stevens Award in 2015, the Little Rock School District Teacher of the Year Award in 2015, Arkansas Communication and Theater Arts Association Teacher of the Year Award in 2016, the Doug Duke Outstanding Debate Coach Award in 2017 and was named one of the 5 national finalists for the National Speech and Debate Association Educator of the Year Award in 2018. And whereas Rosalia Valdez Block has been a loyal Hendricks graduate and a faithful supporter of her alma mater, therefore, the Hendricks College Alumni Association Board of Governors is proud to bestow the 2018 Outstanding Young Alumna Award upon Rosalia Valdez Block, Hendricks College alumna from the class of 2010, and to hold her up to the Hendricks community and to the world as an exemplar of the values of Hendricks College. Presented in Conway, Arkansas on April 21st, 2018. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much. One of my favorite offerings while I was a student here at Hendricks was Tuesday Talks. In my delusions of grandeur, I often thought about what I would say if I were to ever give my own Tuesday Talk. And when I gathered my thoughts for this presentation today, I returned to the format of Tuesday Talks, so please indulge me a little. My favorite talks were those that masterfully and playfully upturned the notion of vocation, excuse me. It's getting close to summer vacation for me. A memorable talk was my own thesis supervisor, Dr. Stuber, who introduced himself not as an educator, but as a reader. I loved that. I thought that it was amazing that his message was that we might be called to something outside of a mere occupation, that service is indeed often deeply personal. And so, like Dr. Stuber, I will say that I too am not an educator. I am a communicator. My job is to teach young people how to articulate their thoughts, ideas, feelings, and displeasures to a world that is often not listening to them. My job is to help them feel self-assured, competent, confident, to tell them occasionally and as gently as I can, although they're here, they might disagree with me on this one, that sometimes they don't make any sense, and to help set them back on course. Sometimes I am successful in that endeavor, and sometimes the process is more important than the outcome. My calling, though, is to talk to them, to listen, to observe, and to sometimes stand by. My senior year, I took 2 semesters with Dr. James Jennings. I took African American history to 1865 and since 1865. The final assignment in his course was a presentation for the class in which we were to talk to and with each other about the subject of our choosing. When I completed my presentation, Dr. Jennings called me aside. "You should consider teaching, Rosie. You talk like an educator." I had been told this a few times in my life. My mother is a teacher. She was a debate coach as well. My sister is a teacher. But this was the first time that I'd heard this and wanted to do it. He made me feel like I could do it. Among many of the amazing educators I had throughout my life, in the example I've had in my own mother and my sister, I emulate Dr. Jennings every day in my classroom. I strive to communicate with my students to try to make them feel the way professors like Dr. Jennings made me feel with his encouraging words. I am forever thankful for his life. My students surprised me, and they are here. Y'all can wave. They're very cute, and they made me cry before I even had my breakfast. I am thankful for your lives as well. I'm thankful for your hard work and for your fellowship and for your patience with me sometimes and for your brilliance. And you are the absolute pride of my life. I also thank you for enduring my many stories that start with, well, when I was at Hendricks. I would like to thank Hendricks for my best friends who are here as well, for my voice, for professors like Dr. Stuber, Dr. Jennings, Dr. Chappell, Dr. Berryman, Dr. Hines, for some of the best memories of my life. It is a great honor to have been nominated and to be the recipient of this award, and I will treasure it as much as I treasure the years I was fortunate enough to spend on this campus. Thank you very much.
I know, they're surprised. They get in trouble.
That was fun. For 58 years, the Alumni Association has presented the Distinguished Alumnus or Alumni Award to the living alumni who have distinguished his or herself in vocation, service to humanity, and service to the college. Next year, we will recognize Joe Williams, a member of the class of 1985, as the 2018 Distinguished Alumni. Ms. Williams was unable to join us today, but we also today get to recognize Joan Davis Wagner, a member of the class of 1962, as the 2017 Distinguished Alumna. Ms. Wagner, when you come forward. Joan, it's my great pleasure now to share the following citation, recognizing achievements and the dedication that have earned you this honor. Whereas Joan Davis Wagner has headed a number of nonprofit organizations, including the YWCA of Northeast Kansas, the Topeka YWCA, and Kansas Families for Kids. And whereas Joan Davis Wagner has served in elected office as the mayor of Topeka and in the Kansas legislature, authoring many pieces of legislation related to domestic violence, child care, and education. And whereas Joan Davis Wagner has been a loyal Hendrix graduate and a faithful supporter of her alma mater alongside her husband, William, whom she met as a student at Hendrix. And whereas Joan Davis Wagner's career led her to the appointment as Secretary of Revenue for the state of Kansas under two governors, as well as recognition as an expert in the field of tax policy and a role representing the federal tax authority before Congress. And whereas Joan Davis Wagner has served as chair of the Kansas Democratic Party and a treasurer of the Girl Scouts of the USA. And whereas Joan Davis Wagner has served in volunteer roles with numerous organizations, including the Topeka Center for Peace and Justice, the Shawnee County Historical Society, and the Kansas Legislative Oral History Project. Therefore, the Hendrix College Alumni Association Board of Governors is proud to bestow the 2017 Distinguished Alumna Award upon Joan Davis Wagner, Hendrix College alumna from the class of 1962, and to hold her up to the Hendrix community and to the world as an exemplar of the values of Hendrix College. Presented in Conway, Arkansas, this day, April 21st, 2018, just a bit after we were able to nominate an award. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I am truly honored, and I thank you all for the recognition. I'm also really glad I didn't have to cash in the tickets to France that we had last year. You know, they don't really return them. Pam was kind enough to say, well, you can come the next year, and I appreciate that. I want to make just a couple of remarks and then introduce the guests that I have here with me today. I had to struggle to get here to Hendrix College. Now, my first tuition check, Dr. Tsutsui, was $500 for the semester. So things have changed, including the buildings, and many of the faculty that I remember are no longer with us. Dr. Arthur Johnson, I was a biology major. Dr. Arthur Johnson taught me life lessons far in excess of those of the life cycle of a nematode, which was his passion in life. Mine grew a little differently from that. Dr. Albert Raymond desperately tried to teach me about chemistry, and I didn't do too badly. And I was glad that my grades were not the criteria for this award, because there were some things that I had to learn that I didn't know everything about. But the struggle to get here was that I came from a family that really had never seen education as all that important. I was the first to go to college, and it was the Methodist women at the First Methodist Church in Texarkana that came to my father and convinced him that this fine Methodist university would take care of me if he would just let me go. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because what I learned here about biology, about chemistry, about life, about friendships, and about our responsibility as citizens in the world has lasted my entire life. Couldn't have had a better education. Couldn't have had more diversity in the things that I learned from the theater activities that we did. It just all played into things that I learned and needed to know later in life. I'm particularly grateful that I met my husband here, Bill Wagner. Bill, would you stand up or wave? He married me because I could cook fish for the town men at Toadsuck Ferry on an outside. Right? And the town men had really interesting parties down there. There are a lot of things I learned at Hendrix that are not in that citation, and I'm not planning on revealing those tonight. But it was a wonderful education. And I think we're all fortunate to have Dr. Tsutsui here. We hated to lose him in Kansas, but he's done wonderful things for this university, so congratulations. I'd like to introduce my guests. First of all, my friend Jo Newton. Jo, stand up. She's here with her grandson, Grant Gartner, who is a physics major here at Hendrix. What year are you?
I'm a junior.
He's a junior, a physics major. Amazing. My friend Patty Briles. Patty was married to Bobby Briles, one of my best friends here. My friend Betty Briles Pickett, who married a guy from my hometown, John Pickett, who was a professor of economics here, and we have remained lifelong friends. And my friend Charles Tadlock, Mr. Charles, who was married to my roommate, Kathy Tadlock, who is no longer with us, but very special people. So the friendships you make, the things that you learn, the way that you are equipped to embrace the world is what I tell people that Hendrix is about. I thank you for the honor, and I thank you for the opportunity to grow beyond Texarkana and to be the things that those women at the Methodist Church thought I could become if I came to Hendrix. Thank you.
Wow. Congratulations to Helen, to Rose, to Rosie, and to Joan on behalf of the Hendrix Alumni Association. We are forever grateful for you and for what you're doing and what still has yet to come. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, Jamie, and thanks to all of our recipients. What else can you say? That your remarks were inspiring. It's so wonderful to hear the ways you've impacted the campus, Little Rock, Central Arkansas, around the country, and around the world. So the influence that you and inspiration that you provide for us and all of the lives that you touch day in and day out is fuel for us who continue to get the privilege to work here and try to inspire the next generation of staff and faculty and students to make the kind of contributions that you've made. So in order for us to continue to have inductions like we've had today, we need your help. On the table there are sheets that allow you to consider nominating people. If you haven't been inspired today, I don't know how you will ever be inspired. So please take a look at that. Take it home with you. Think about your classmates or other people on this campus that you think might be appropriate recipients, and we would invite you to complete those and return them. Just a few announcements before we adjourn. We have a full day still ahead. I would invite you to continue to participate. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, the last lectures will begin with Dr. Jay McDaniel. His lecture will be in Mills A. At 1 o'clock, the Hendricks Murphy program will begin their open house, celebrating their 40th year, and at 3 p.m. There will be readings of favorite poems from visiting poets over the years. The Hendricks College Senior Seminar will present the theater project at 2 o'clock in Cape Theater. There's no charge for that. Village Books will have a book signing with alumna Betsy Singleton Snyder, class of 83, at 3 p.m. Dr. Karen Griebling will provide her last lecture in the form of a recital in Reeves Recital Hall at 3:30, and you're encouraged to attend that. And the reunion parties all across Little Rock and Conway this evening, and I hope that you will be able to plug into those. And we'll conclude Alumni Weekend on campus tomorrow with the memorial service in Green Chapel at 10:30. There will be a coffee at the fountain at 10 o'clock, weather permitting, and at 10:30 we will have our memorial worship service. It's always a wonderful service in which we remember those alums and faculty and staff who've passed on over the previous year. So thank you for being here today. Again, congratulations to all of our recipients, and we wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you.